All right, so you've got a new program that's going to be launching.
Yes.
Called Overcoming Everything,
Mm-hmm.
which is quite a title.
And it's quite a title because no one wanted it. I actually, when I first came up with the title, I thought that's really crazy and nobody's going to believe it. And then when I went to buy the domain name, the URL, it was available. Of course it was available because everybody thought that was a completely ridiculous name to have, except me.
Well, there would be a lot of people that will probably say that
Yeah.
to you or think it like overcoming everything. I mean, wouldn't we all love to do that? Where does that title come from, and do you feel like it's really possible to reach that point?
It comes from my life, and I know that it's possible because I've been doing it. And I say been doing it because I'm still doing it. I don't ever think that we reach a place in our lives where we're done with our growth or expansion or whatever you want to call it, or evolving. That's what we're really doing. So I'm still in that process always. So what happened was I started looking at my life and I started looking at all the stuff that I'd been through, which were some really crazy, difficult, challenging times. And then I started recognizing what I did to get over them. And I don't say, and when I say overcoming everything, that doesn't mean that you get rid of it. It's just that you use it in different ways. And what I've come up with, and looking at my own experience, there were certain things that I looked at, and the way that I overcame them was that I had to figure out how to look at it differently. I had to figure out how to interpret it so I wouldn't use whatever it was to kind of continually hurt myself. That became really empowering for me. And then I started to recognize that most of the things that were causing me problems were just beliefs that I had formed. And so, okay, I could start to change that. Now, a lot of this I started to understand later that really helped me, which I didn't even understand was happening at the time, was because of what I had learned from the book, The Nature of Personal Reality. That's the Jane Roberts book that I was referring to. I read some of the others, but this particular one, The Nature of Personal Reality, is the one that really resonated for me and made the most sense. And so I started to see later that I had adapted or adopted or used a lot of those principles, and that's how I did overcome everything. Other times I think that we don't get rid of something, but we appreciate it in a different way, and then we actually use it. We don't overcome it, but we use it to move forward. I started interpreting things like, okay, this challenge that you had, or that difficulty, you had that because you wanted to develop some other particular strength within yourself. Even though it felt horrible and you hated it while you were going through it, that's why you were doing it.
But couldn't you say that you're someone who is naturally wired to think that way, whereas someone else doesn't know how to look at things that way, doesn't have that kind of personality to do that? So it seems like as a child, as growing up, as a teen, through your life, you've always had that way of seeing things and a way to twist it around. What would you just say to someone who just doesn't have that, or looks very cynically at the world and says, well, these things happen to me and my life sucks and I don't believe you, and I don't, what do you say to someone like that?
That's why I'm their coach. That's because, and that's what it came to, really, because, yeah, I did those things. I had this proclivity, I had this need to kind of work on all these things, and I think that I had that because I had so much crap going on. That's really what it is. I mean, there were times where I felt I have no choice. Either I'm going to die or I'm going to figure out how I can change. That's really what it came down to. And then after I'd done that so many times and throughout my life, I thought, maybe that's what I'm supposed to do in my life, is help other people. And then I started finding that most people don't look at things that way, aren't able to do that, which is why there are a plethora of motivational speakers and leaders and all of that, because everybody needs something to kind of get us on track, keep us on track.
A lot of the writers that I do like that write on your subject as well, it seems like you guys have all had to reach some kind of bottom, hit some kind of dark place to reach that awareness,
right?
And then to be able to share it, and it's like a hard a hard thing to have to go through,
Right.
but then it ends up benefiting the world and others.
Other people, exactly. I firmly believe no one has to go through what I went through. No one needs to do that. And I'm here to show them that you don't have to, because this is how you kind of change that or avoid it or do something a little different.
So what can people expect from this program if they
Oh,
were just to enroll, and what's in store? What is, I mean, I would think a lot of people would be nervous about opening themselves up and going there, and take us through just
okay.
a outline.
Let me tell you my vision. I know all that stuff is really scary. I mean, years and years ago when I was going to therapy even, that was scary. I mean, it's just me by myself going to one other person, but even that was uncomfortable because you have to, if you really want to change, if you really want to grow as a person, you've got to really be willing to look at stuff that you're doing or not doing in your own life. And so that was uncomfortable for me in the beginning. So I thought, what if there were a safe place for people to go to do the kind of work where they could start to transform themselves? Now, I am a junkie on books and videos and anything that keeps me really motivated and keeps my energy going, keeps me in a good place. And that works really well to a degree. I used to also do a lot of seminars. I went to a lot of different seminars earlier on, and I would always come out of them feeling really great for a few days. Then something would happen and I'd be back in the real world and back to my old self. So I wanted something where people, that's going to happen. That's just part of life. That's what we go through. But what if I could go somewhere and say, oh, this is what's going on right now. Here's a tool that I could use to work through that. So what I created in the program are exercises or processes or things that you can use that are very specific to certain kinds of situations that you might find yourself in that can help you kind of move through it, or understand it, or reinterpret it, or do something with it. But it's always something that you can do instead of just feeling lost and you're, not doing anything.
Is it something that someone could learn how to do on their own, or do they have to stay in the program to keep getting these tools?
Well, no, they're going to always have the program, so they can do it forever. That was my whole point. I want them to have something that they would always have, and they take the process, take the questions, because a lot of it are questions. The thing that most people don't understand is they really do have a lot of answers to what's going wrong in their lives, why they don't have certain things, or what they want to do. But they aren't asking the correct questions to bring those answers forward, which is what I talked about in my meditation. I wasn't allowing the correct answers to come forth because I was asking controlling questions, So that's part of what I wanted the program to do.
Aside from then someone taking a survey of where they're at and asking questions to figure out where they're at, what then?
Action. The main thing is that, I can sit and listen to videos forever, but if I don't do anything after that, then I was like feeling good for a few minutes, but then I'm back to being my old self. And I say that because we all form certain patterns of behavior that we keep repeating and keep creating our lives in the same way. So I wanted something where people knew they could take an alternative behavior to try to create what they really wanted to have in their life.